Trapping. Hey. What up? Bruce, what up? What's good? Let me know, man. Let me know you can hear me. You know how we do. We come in and do a quick sound check. We're good. What up? We good? All right, cool. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Agua today, man. All right, man. So what we on? What we gonna build on? What we gonna build on, man? We gotta do the thumbs up, man, real fast. Thumbs up so we can alert everybody else. You know what I mean? That we in the building. About to see what we can do on a quick. It's this Tuesday night, the 6th. Yeah. All right. So, man, what's on my mind, man? I thought I was gonna hit with Uranus. You know, we can, but I really just probably want to do a live Q&A. You know, if y'all got any questions on anything, you know what I mean, shoot it. The image I used for this particular video was the planet Uranus, which is more of a generational planet. So there will always be like there's a 7-year group of people that is born with this particular placement. You know what I mean? So it's more of a generational thing. You know what I mean? It's not like Venus in a sign for 26 days on average, or Mars that's in the sign for 2 months on average, that moves pretty fast throughout a calendar year. You know what I'm saying? The moon is only in the zodiac sign for 2.5 days. The sun is in front of the sign for 30. When you start getting back there, Jupiter being in the sign on average almost a year, and you better be like, okay, it's a whole year, you know, a whole group of people who born in this year that potentially have Jupiter in the same spot. Then Saturn could be 2.5 years. Then, you know, when you get out there, Uranus 7 years, Neptune 14 years. These are generational people. You see what I'm saying? So the faster bodies are more or less what we call personal. What up, David? What's happening? And the outer bodies are more what we call generational. Okay. I'm kind of looking at Uranus, man, because I think that the country itself is in a very, very critical place, man. Critical place. I'm starting to see conversations on capitalism versus socialism. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like almost on the brink of revolution, which is interesting because there's an alignment that's taking place with Saturn and Capricorn, which is government. Pluto's in Capricorn, where Saturn and Pluto aligns. Every time they get together in the same location and spot, governments go through a major transformation and pretty much a meltdown, a fall down. You know what I'm saying? And then Jupiter is going to absolutely join the mix in 2020 as well. And so there's a major alignment that is, you can see what up, Jaquino? You can see the precursor of what's happening through the disdain from the media standpoint and popular bias of Donald Trump. But Trump's rallies be Pat, Trump won the election. And so the majority don't feel the way that mainstream media is portraying. I have to note that. That's very important to understand and be able to differentiate between the two. But nevertheless, you have this whole argument from one side of the ledger, what we call the left, is setting up this big paradigm, whether it be the border or whether it be he's racist, everything he says is racist. And it's starting to get very intense, which to a degree, when you're on the brink of revolution as Uranus, we're dealing with, how the people will revolt. And I remember growing up, man, just from the experience, I come through some certain schools of thoughts. I was in the Black Power thing. I know what it's like to, walking around with the beret on, the knife on the side, RBG wristband, and, got my own bookstore, art store, and teaching Black stuff. There's a view and ideology that comes with that and it's such an Aquarian one, and I'm an Aquarius, that deals with making sure that the people is good. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But the socialist thing, from what I understand, is there shouldn't be poor people. And I think we got to shift the narrative a little bit and deal with, I think that we should help people who are disabled and need help and that disability could be classified any type of way, because we live in a place where we got free market, we got free game and reign to be able to create an awesome idea, and it doesn't have to be minimized. You know what I mean? Whereas another viewpoint of the socialist aspect is saying everybody's going to make the same. There will be no top tier. Everybody's going to be on the same page. And I just don't think that's fair, that, you've practiced all your life and you are genuinely the best at what you do, for somebody to be able to put some form of limitation upon that. And I'm slacking and I get the same thing as you get. That's just not fair and whatnot. Right. And I'm like, man, bro, Uranus is about humanity, you know what I mean, and breaking free. It's Aquarius. It's freaking Abraham Lincoln, the Aquarian, who came in the Aquarian age, and to me is the walking physical expression of a cosmic law and order that was able to be the vehicle to represent the particular age. Very important to understand. But I think that's very important to understand. So the Aquarian is the rebel, and you got to go against the status quo, right? I just think that I'm just now falling in love with capitalism, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that is falling in love with my ability to produce financial wealth. I want to be clear on that. Okay. Because oftentimes when you come through these schools of thoughts, and I'm going to be very specific, Black folks, there are only a few schools that we go to. I'm going to tell you what they are. We go Black Power, and we go back to Mother Africa. We will, to a degree, when we have that philosophy, we're anti-American, because American were slaveholders and things of that nature. And there's systematic racism and all these things, right? So we divorce the concept of becoming wealthy for the most part, right? You may go through more of a religious aspect of Hebrew Israelite, Nation of Islam, which up under that will be the 5%. You may become a Moor. You may get in some form, fashion of Islam, period. And then you will be shit. That's pretty much it. It's some form of Islam, red, black, and green, Pan-African, right? or maybe a Hebrew Israelite, maybe, right? And them all pretty much are schools of thought, and they're outdated, horribly outdated, because the only thing the Pan-African has to do, in truth, is pick up and go to Africa. If that's the motherland, that's the source, that's where everything is, you can just pick up and go, because there's, America is what America is. You know what I'm saying? The other schools, I mean, no, in these schools, nobody is really giving us practical keys, tools that we can use to become prosperous and abundant. It's very important to understand that we're missing that in the dialogue. You know what I'm saying? And I know specifically inside of the Nation of Islam lessons, there's a phrase that talks about a poor righteous teacher. And I remember, and then the culture comes out with a group through hip hop, poor righteous teachers. And then, to be righteous, you have to be poor. You see what I'm saying? And that's very heavy, very, very, very heavy, where also the same lessons talk about sit yourself in heaven at once and, go out there and get it. But it's easy for us to relate to poor because of slavery, because of civil rights, because of many injustices. So it's easy for us to identify with that particular point of pain. That's the Uranus factor within the psyche that deals with, okay, how do you rebel? How do you become successful? And we have to look at that. You know what I'm saying? How do we rebel? How do we become successful? Hold on. Water. All right. And I'm like, man, bro, we're really in the most expansive time. The question I have for y'all in the chat, and we had put this on Facebook, it's two questions. I want y'all just to be 100% honest, and let's just have an open dialogue tonight. All right. The first question was, for Black America, which one is the bigger problem? Systemic racism or Black father absence, okay, from the home? And just by showing the chat, just give me where you at. You know what I mean? Which one is the bigger problem? Right? So father absence, Corey, father absence, me, right? Which I got. Which one is a bigger issue? All right. Okay, legislation and the laws, they are the same. Father absence, exactly. I was looking for that one right there. Thank you, Natural Hair Care, right? Natural Hair Care says, legislation and laws. Black fathers being absent from the home is a result from systemic racism. So it's cause and effect, right? And I want to examine that, right? And I just want to have a dialogue. I want to examine that. So now the second question was, and again, let's be clear. Black fathers being absent mean I'm out. I ain't in the house no more. I'm not associating. I'm gone. Deuces. I'm out. Okay. Now, it don't mean he's going to work 3, 10, 5 jobs because he makes less than a white man. He has to work harder. He couldn't get in school and he's out. No, I'm talking about deuce. I'm out of here. I'm no longer a part of this household. So I want to be clear on my definition on absence. Okay. Not that he's out all day, then he comes back home. No. In hood terms, this nigga ain't here no more. Okay? You gone. All right? Now, now my question is, AK Gorilla and Natural Hair Care, let's explore the second question, which is let's give an example of a clear a clear protocol, a law, whatever it may be. Let's give a real life working example where the systemic racism has removed the father from the home against the father's free will. Because on one hand, we're saying systemic racism exists, and it's the cause of the black man not being in the home. Now let's examine, when do they come and say, nigga, you up out of here, and that black man wants to stay there? Okay? So AK Gorilla says jail, prison. Okay? Section 8, right? Welfare system. Okay? He can't be in the home. Now, I'm going to say that, now here's a question with jail. Here's a question with Section 8. Jail will imply that you did something wrong called you broke the law. Would you agree? He broke the law. What up, Coley Cole? Would you agree? He broke the law. Okay, so right, not all the time. And that's good, right? So not all the time. But so let's deal with breaking the law first. Okay. So if he breaks the law, then that means that man made a choice to jeopardize his freedom. Can we agree with that? If he broke the law. Because we're going to examine the other side if he didn't break the law. Okay? So if he broke the law, is it fair to say that he made a choice to break the law? I'll give you an example. I've done it. Okay? It was called, because I heard another argument was drugs come into the black community, guns come into the black community. But my rebuttal to that is, wait a minute. Nobody makes me a user. Nobody makes me a pusher. Nobody makes me a shooter. It can be there, and I can have all the temptation in the world. Temptation such as, wait a minute. Don't tell me to go to school and get a high school diploma when your ass is struggling yourself. Don't tell me not to hustle and sell dope and me do my thing when you're struggling and I'm trying to get somewhere in life and hopefully I don't get caught. But I know that the possibility of me getting caught, that's the risk you take. And you know what we say in the streets, you're either going to be dead or in jail. So we're very cognizant of what we're doing. Dead because we on some bullshit, or in jail because we on some bullshit. Okay? So the culture knows, because it's street slang amongst ourselves, that, I know that I'm about to jump the fence and do some bullshit. So in the case, let me just talk on my own example from life experience. I sold dope to, because we talked about the war on drugs and how that could have an effect. Now these crack babies come. We can come through the era of Reaganomics and crack hit the hood. And it's designed to cripple the black community. Fine. But it won't cripple you if you don't smoke this shit. Let's just be honest. And it won't cripple you if you don't sell the shit and convince people to smoke the shit. So no matter what you put in front of me, I have to make a decision to do it. And even if you stick me up at gunpoint, I still have to make a decision. I may not like the possibilities and the outcomes to try to reverse the situation, to pull the pistol on you and get out the situation, right? So nobody forced me to sell drugs. So Missy, who I would never forget in life, she's pregnant. She's a crackhead. She's crying and begging me for the dope. No, Missy. I have a moral side obligation angel that pops up that says no. Then another side pops up and said, but nigga, you know she gonna go around the corner and get high. Now I could have said, I don't care. I have a clean conscience. She just gonna have to get high somewhere else. Or I could have said, listen, it's absolutely too late. Damage is done. Get the money. That's what you're here for. fuck it, Missy. Here you go. Gave it to her. I created a crack baby. In return, I hope, never know how this worked, that karma is paid off, because I know what it's like to have a dead twin in the womb, and I know what it's like where I lost my son earlier this year at 18 years old. The shit that start to make you reflect and think back, like, oh shit, nigga, you was like David in the Bible, you was bogus. You know what I'm saying? You was David killed a man, had a man murdered in order to get the girl. It wasn't that, but you started a crack kid, nigga. You know what you did, right? Cool, no problem. Got to come to that revelation. So I got to take responsibility for that. When do I take responsibility for that, bro? No, it's never no loss because life goes on. I'm good, but I appreciate it, right? And so if jail is an issue, let's look at that. It's only two reasons that you're going to jail. One, you broke the law. And that's interesting because this same system that we say that may have a systematic form of racism is also saying, hey, if you sell dope, you're going to jail. Hey, if you do XYZ, you're going to jail. I'm just letting you know you're going to jail. So we know what the law is. Now let's look at the other form. You are wrongly convicted. You got arrested when they putting Trump charges on you, bullshitting, and you're wrongly convicted. So then yesterday, I wanted to see how many people are wrongfully convicted. So if you go to Google, open up another window, it said about 10,000 people per year are wrongfully convicted of a crime. Okay. Now, you do the math with me. 10,000. Let's just say, because that's all people. That's not black folks. That's just all people. But let's say black folks. Let's be aggressive. Let's say out of that 10,000, 7,000, which is 70% of those numbers, are black people. Let's just be really aggressive. 7,000. So I want you to pull out a calculator and take 7,000 and divide it by roughly, last I checked, we was like 40 something million in population. But let's just roughly say, let's just round it off and say 50 million. Okay, so what's 7,000 divided by 50 million? That is a 0.00014% of a chance of you being wrongfully brought up on charges and convicted as a form of systematic racism. I'm going to tell you that sucks. Because again, the stats that I saw, I'm just saying hypothetically, if these stats are true, 10,000 people are wrongfully convicted per year. We're going to say 7,000 is black. And if it's roughly 50 million black folks in the United States of America, take 7,000 divided into 50 million, rather, and that's going to give you the percentage of what that ratio is, which is a 0.00014% of a chance that that's going to happen to you as an individual. That is a horrible form of systematic racism to wrongfully imprison people. So now that's not even, it's not even on the radar of a number. You know what I'm saying? That shit is cheaper than a damn cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? So that sucks. Okay? That sucks. So now let's talk about Section 8. Okay? Real fast. And so Section 8 says, listen, woman, I'll incentivize you because your man ain't there. Let's even go a little deeper. Let's hypothetically say the man can contribute $2,000 a month to the house, but you need more. And the government say, well, shit, I can give you $5,000. But what I ain't gonna do is I ain't gonna give you $5,000 if that man there. Y'all are a couple, y'all figure that out. So this is interesting because the government is only willing to step in when the man is not there. They're not coming with this thing like, hey, here go $5,000. Get rid of that nigga and you can get more money. The household, once again, is making a conscious decision that says, hey, babe, maybe I can get more money from the government. And we really ain't even doing that. What's really happening is Nigga just not being responsible. He ain't there. And then you go get the woman, go get assistance 9 times out of 10 because he's not there and he's not doing his part. Okay. That's how it's happening. We're not having these conversations where it's like, hey, babe, your $2,500 ain't enough. The government is willing to give us $5,000, but you can't be in the house. All right, babe, you right, for the betterment of the family. Go get that extra additional $2,500. I'm gonna step up out of here. And I'm still gonna give you my 25. So now we're gonna have 7,500 for the house, and we're gonna cake up and we're gonna come back and we're gonna win. We're not having those kind of conversations. Let's be honest. That's not what's happening. What's happening is there's an option that's there if your man is not there that the government is willing to pay. Now, there are some states, especially in commonwealths like Pennsylvania, Texas is not a commonwealth, but Texas does the same thing. There's some states that say, listen, I ain't paying you shit unless you go get that man and put him on child support because he's going to be responsible for the payback. In other words, you're not going to burden the taxpayer, or I'm not going to come out my pocket and have to contribute to your household because your man ain't there. And it ain't the government, it's the taxpayer called me and other people who participate in society. So let's be real about that. It's not the government's money. It is being that burden, that debt is being passed on to the people. So I'm paying for it and other people are paying for it. So I can't agree with, and let's look at it, Jaquino. Do they make women do it? Because make means they're taking away the woman's ability to choose. So I'm going to say the question since I had the conversation. Show me any tactic that is used that takes away, here's the key word, y'all ready? The woman and man's free will to choose the option. What takes away our free will to choose? Because see, these kind of conversations got to be had. I'm going to tell you why. It's because deep down, we suppress these kind of issues. And if we're suppressing and packing down, we're never going to get to enjoy and possibly even attract a big source of abundance where energy can just flow. Because we're constantly worried, how I'm going to pay the bills. Is the white cop going to pull me over today? Who got shot today on the news? And there's all of these issues. If I get sick, what's going to happen? All of these issues, right? So we got to free up some of this energy because some of it don't serve us, right? So, but see, here's the thing. The government don't come knocking on people's door giving you money. You have to fill out a form and request the money. That's a choice. That's a choice. So if you say, yep, I want the cash benefits. Yep, I want the food benefits. And I don't need you, nigga, because you ain't no good anyway. You're making a choice. So we have to clearly define, is anything on the record as a form of systematic racism that takes away our ability to choose? Yes or no? And if so, name it. Because I guarantee you it's not there. I agree with you too, Katrina, for sure. Right? Okay. So he said the birth certificate, but the birth certificate don't take the man. Again, the question is the man leaving the home. The family is broken up. Where do we say, how did we lose the ability to choose? So I'm not really clear on the birth certificate. I mean, I know how the birth certificate will put you in debt for sure. And now you're about to be responsible to pay the debt and stuff and things of that nature. But I don't. But there's plenty of couples who are together and their children have birth certificates, and the black man is still in the home. Okay. So he's not signing it without marriage. It's law. So, okay. So there may be some state laws that say, black man, you can't sign this birth certificate because y'all not married, right? But that doesn't take away the ability to be in the house, which is the original question. And then I would think if he sincerely wants to be on the birth certificate, then he maybe should marry. So case in point, my son that just passed, his daughter, which is him, was just born, right? And the state of Tennessee said, oh no, you can't name this baby his last name if he ain't here. This baby got to have your last name. And it's like, man, he's passed. Well, you're going to have to get the death certificate and you're going to have to do some extra shit. Right? And I'm like, damn, that's interesting. That's kind of like that's almost impeding on free speech in a sense, right? I'm like, shit, that's weird. Had they been married, you wouldn't have that problem because you got a marriage certificate. Then I said, oh, I get it. Because see, when you start having kids and children, that's business because it's called probate. So I can't tell you enough how I see personally in the real estate space where I'm going after property, the property is being auctioned and the kids are not entitled to the property because dad didn't leave it to nobody, or grandma wasn't in on the business side of taking care of the house. She never opens the mail and now they're back behind and the house is getting foreclosed and somebody at the auction is buying the house because we're not taking care of business. There's a major disconnect in family and business, a major disconnect. But again, nothing is taking away our ability to choose. Right? So, right, I'm with you. Natural hair care, okay? Nothing takes away our ability to choose, okay? If you say, yeah, I mean, okay, show it. Just show me. Because I really want to see it. I want to examine it. But since nothing takes away our ability to choose, then I would have to say that systemic racism is not the cause for the black man to be absent in his home. It can't be. It may be what we would call temptations all over the place. Sure. It could be crack. It could be white women with blonde hair and tight shirts. It could be prostitutes down the street. It could be whatever. But it doesn't take away my ability to choose. I have to make a decision that I'm going to leave the home. Right? Nothing takes away that ability. So therefore, systemic racism is not there. Now, I'm going to tell you this, okay? I'm going to tell you what the problem is. Because I think that viewpoint is just not correct, to be honest with you. It's just not, it's not correct. The problem lies within a very short history that maybe is not systemic racism. Have we ever pondered that maybe we are infants? This is what I mean. On the American soil, let's say 1776 to now is what? How many years is that? What's 2019 minus 1776? What's that? 243 years. Let's break down these 243 years. And really, it's not even that. Let's deal with the Black experience. So I think the Black experience has to start at, and we can give it Jamestown, 1616. That's fine. Slavery, 1616 to 1865. Okay, almost 250 years. You got slavery. From 1865 to 100 years later is 1965, ladies and gents. My dad, I'm only 40 something. My dad born in 57. So 100 years after slavery, my dad is in the picture. My mom is in the picture. Our grandparents is in the picture already, right? 1965 is 100 years after slavery, the Emancipation Proclamation. And not the Emancipation, the end of the Civil War, which is also 13th Amendment, the end of slavery. 100 years later, 1965, is Martin Luther King, Malcolm X era. Martin Luther King is assassinated in 68, just 3 years later. So we're 103 years from slavery. Our parents are already here. I know mine's is. I know I'm getting old, but, you know, my parents is here. So now, death of King is the 60s. Now let's look at the decades. The 70s, here, I'm born in the 70s. The 70 era was, the 60s was all about the dogs getting sick on you, the water hose spraying you down. This is the Jim Crow South. Let's be clear, man. Let's be clear. Because there's a lot of talk about reparations that's stirring up in the conversation in the political ecosphere. And that's fine, because it needs to be addressed. But it should be addressed to the Confederate States of America, because they physically left the United States of America to have slaves. We can point the finger because we know exactly what a war took place. There was X amount of states that said, no, we ain't fucking American. We are the Confederate States of America who believe in slavery, right? So then 100 years after they got defeated, they said, okay, I tell you what, immediately thereafter, 1865, Lincoln is dead. The same year the Ku Klux Klan is started, retaliation comes in the form of the Ku Klux Klan, in the form of politics, right? That says, nah, y'all niggas ain't coming in our schools. Y'all niggas better drink at those little water fountains over there. Y'all niggas sit in the back of the bus. And we had to endure that for 100 years after slavery. That brings us up to the 1960s. So 1960s is here. Schools are finally desegregated. Everything is, desegregated. And now it's integration is here, and the death of Martin Luther King. So now, since everybody is integrated and we are all on what appears to be the same playing level for our schools, jobs, and things of that nature, by law, it's not by status yet in the sense of what's going on, but by law, okay, there's nothing on the books that stops us now. The 70s became a fucking party. This is the coolest era ever. And I ain't saying it just because I'm a 70s baby. I'm just saying this was the afros, the bell bottoms, the disco, and this was have a good time now. Let's party, man. Fuck all that fighting. Let's party. You see what I'm saying? So the 70s became a party. The 80s become your R&B era in the birth of hip hop. Now you about to start getting into Run DMC and all of this. The 90s is known as the golden era, which is Tupac and them, of hip hop, and we're in the 2000s right now. Right now. Just that fast. Just that freaking fast. So 2019 from 19, let's say just 100 years after slavery, 1965, or let's just go to the death of Martin Luther King. 51 years, man. So you got to remember, we're just now getting to the point where we just now getting FaceTime. We're just now able to connect devices and have video conversation from all over the world. 10, 20 years ago, we had a typewriter. 20 years ago, it was typewriters. When I was in 8th grade, it wasn't computer class. It was typewriters when I was in 7th and 8th grade. It was whiteout. Nigga, what are you talking about? Backspace, copy and paste. What? You made an error, get the whiteout and put the whiteout on there in this little strip, and then, it was typewriters. We just now getting to the point of, automobiles and cars is fairly new. We just got to a point of an electric car, Tesla. Maybe humanity is infants far as our growing ability in the free world. And since our most recent history is very ugly, racism and slavery, maybe we think that, okay, it's systematic racism. Now, this is where it gets tricky and you have to discern, because it is without a shadow of a doubt racism in the world. But I'm just going to say it. I just got to say it. America is not a racist nation. It's not. The 13 colonies had slaves. The United States of America is on the record book of two things. Ending slaves, saying slavery is going to end, Constitutional Convention 1787 to 1789, and actually doing the shit, okay? Actually doing the shit where slavery actually ended, and I ain't talking about through Abraham Lincoln either, okay? All right? The United States is on the record for saying slavery will end, and also being the flag that came in against the Confederate South and said, the hell with y'all talking about, these slaves are free, and y'all asses getting back inside the United States of America too, because you ain't going to be your own separate nation here. The United States of America did that. America is not a racist nation. Now, do Confederates and racists live here still? Sure, absolutely. Could the United States be infiltrated by old Confederate ideologies? Absolutely. But that's what the conversation needs to be, right there. Okay? Saying all this to say that if we put the proper lens on it, and I'm just saying, you're not going to tell me. See, this is what I'm saying, y'all. Uranus, Aquarius, I am. Okay, you can't see my shirt, but maybe you can. Aquarius, I am. It's crazy. Okay, Uranus is crazy. Uranus is a psycho. That's the part of the mind that's just off-centered. Okay, it is. If not properly balanced and checked. I've heard crazy shit coming through schools of thoughts that I would challenge you in a sense just to examine. And if you never heard it, you don't, unfortunately, hopefully you don't have to go through what I went through to figure this shit out. Okay? And it is, I've heard crazy rhetoric such as the North only freed the slaves because it was a trick. And I believed that shit for years. It was a trick. But what kind of trick? Man, it wasn't no trick. You mean they agreed to kill each other by the thousands, where they could have easily said, transfer some of these niggas up north, chain them up to the machine in the factories up north. We ain't paying them shit because we ain't got to. We got them in the absolute best condition for free. We beat their ass because we're their master. And we're going to have free labor forever and ever and ever, and ain't nobody else going to do shit about it. That could have been the mandate, but it wasn't. It's just not the truth. It was no trick. Ain't no trick to kill. They killed each other, man. They killed friends kill friends. I know. And I ain't talking no opinion. I'm talking, I read war memoirs by generals. People who served in the Mexican-American War together were now shooting and killing each other. They went to West Point together in class, went to war together, and then went to war against each other. Those are facts. There ain't no trick. There's people dead in these battlefields. Okay? So just in that very short timeline, and it's only the so-called intellectual bougie of black consciousness that will say the most absurd shit to sound deep. But it just don't make no sense. It's not true. Okay? So since we live, bring it home, and then we can go to anything you want to go to, right? Yeah, the Jim Crow, you getting that ass toe up. I'm looking in the chat, you getting that ass toe up. There are specifically white boys down south who were Democrats, KKK members, and all that shit. Former Confederates who got that ass beat in the war is now about to come and take it to you on your doorstep. So how do we win? Because we're winning, and like we got to see that. We have to see and truly embrace the other side of Uranus that shows, because Uranus is technology. So through technology, we've been able to change the world. I will say Jay-Z, whether it be through Tidal, and Sprint now comes and say, hey, I'll give you X amount of millions of dollars if you make Tidal exclusive on our platform. Therefore, I know all of your subscribers and your followers will come over here and switch their service to Sprint if they want to have first access. We're living in that world with corporate America. And I got to give a shout out to Steve Stout, who has an excellent book, The Tanning of America. America is tan. Culture runs the world, right? Where the big company is in cahoots with you, the idea maker and idea producer. Oh, you want an Adidas? You want a Yeezy? Oh, you want a whatever, Sean S. Carter? You know what I mean? We're in that space where we're seeing the most awesome cross collaborations take place. On Facebook, I remember a guy said, I don't know what America you live in, but this is the America I live in. And he showed a picture of white people sitting down at a restaurant outside on the patio section eating, with a black guy laying on the ground in front of the restaurant. And I said, that's interesting. That is a portion of America. You can go to any city and find homeless people. You can go to LA and go on Skid Row and find a whole goddamn neighborhood that is designed for homeless people. You can go to Philadelphia and go to Kensington Avenue, where you see all the heroin addicts, and the city allows all of the heroin addicts to come to one place to kind of centralize it and whatnot. And it's just a horrible place, right? But there's also another America where I get on Instagram and I'm talking about people got cakes of money and they like this called the money phone, right? If you look at the little guy, Black Youngster, I'd be amazed at this dude. Like, Black, he funny as hell to me. 1, 2, I just genuinely like him. But I seen a picture of Black Youngster on Instagram in a hotel room where everything but the walls and the ceiling, literally, everything that was on the vertical plane, the floor, the bed, the dresser on a horizontal plane was covered. I mean, every inch of the room was covered in $100 bills. And I'm just like, damn, y'all getting paid like that in this game? Right? I'm just looking at an admiration of success. So yeah, there's homeless people right down the street somewhere, I'm sure. And at the same time, there's people who said, I'm going to buckle down, find my lane, and do my thing and become prosperous in doing it. So there's 2 Americas. The question is, which side are we going to decide to see the lens of America out of? There's nothing wrong with wanting to help those who are, for lack of a better word, less fortunate. It's nothing wrong. But we know how human nature is. You can have free housing where, listen, man, I know somebody who they rent wasn't even freaking $20 and end up getting evicted. And I ain't talking about they an addict either. Ain't nothing the hell wrong with them. Okay? You can give people free places to stay, free food, shelter, and showers. And y'all know the rules. If I give you the money, you about to go get high with it. Right? It can all be there and people are still going to go do what they want to do. You can make everybody in society a millionaire by giving everybody who's not a millionaire $1 million. And you know, like I know, that majority of the people are going to go broke. You can see it through the lottery. People win the lottery, majority of them go broke. It happens, right? Because of what? The mindset. The mindset. So you can put all of the socialist inventions in the world that you want to. You can tax the rich and just give everybody the same playing field. People don't want to be on the same playing field because some people just want to be in their own shit. You understand what I'm saying? So Daniel Redbird says systemic racism impairs and reduces self-sustainability, thereby ill prepares ones to be informed in order to make sound decisions with that free will. So give an example, because I'm gonna argue that systemic racism don't exist. I don't believe it. Not in 2019. Nah, I don't believe it. Not in a way that two things. It takes away free will, and two, it can stop me and you from producing anything we want to produce. So if me and Daniel decide that we're going to build something that is 10 times bigger than Amazon, we can do it, and nothing can stop us. There's no books, no law in the books that's going to stop us. Now, when we get too big, there is a law in the book that say, oh, hold on. This is a monopoly. We may have to break this up because now it's just unfair. Microsoft, AT&T, you know what I'm saying? That happens. But to get there, nobody's stopping me. So systemic racism impairs and reduces self-sustainability? No, it don't. No, it don't. It ain't impairing shit in my world. Nothing. See, this is why I got a problem with right here. I'm going to tell you. Ladies, y'all excused from the conversation. You're less than a motherfucking man if you're going to tell me another fucking man is doing something to you. Okay? I got a problem with that because now you're telling me another man is being a bully and he keeps doing shit of why we can't do something because this man, as if this motherfucker is God. That's my problem. It's less than a man in me. Nobody's doing anything to us. If they are, who? Let's start pointing them out. Because now we can get on some shit where we can say, you know what? We need to step to this person. Who's doing it? What's the system? There ain't no system that's stopping us. Last I checked, we're in the most wealthiest. Black folks are the most wealthiest they have ever been. Last I checked, do you know since the beginning of keeping track of Black unemployment rates, the worst the Black unemployment rate has been was like 21% under Ronald Reagan, which means out of 100 Black folks, 21 people didn't have jobs and 79 people did. For every 10 people out of 10 people that we count, damn near 8 of them had a job and only 2 didn't. And that was our worst case scenario as far as unemployment rate goes. We're doing pretty damn good. Where's the systemic racism where 8 out of 10 are employed? And right now, currently, there's not even 1 out of 10 that's not employed. Where's the systemic racism? Where's the systemic racism with Jay-Z is a billionaire and his wife is a fucking billionaire with him? Where's systemic racism? We can create anything we want to create. Puff, you want to do Revolt TV? BET, you want to have your own black entertainment TV? Slim Thug, you want to build houses? E40, you want your own liquor? Kanye West, you want your own shoe within Adidas? DJ Envy, you want to teach people how to flip properties? Where is systemic racism that stops us, that impairs us? Nothing impairs us but the decisions that we make. I don't care about how much fentanyl you bring down in the hood, how much heroin you put here. I'm not a dope head. I'm not interested. I have to make a choice to become a dope head. I do. This is why I love the Panthers in that era. Because they saw hand on, physical police brutality. So they said, okay, well, by law, we can carry. We can carry shotguns. And I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go to the state house and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to shut this motherfucker whole thing down. And we about to start having a conversation. And we about to start policing our own neighborhood. And and that shit became a problem. And I'm going to tell you that was Confederate. Because that's under J. Edgar Hoover, FBI, definitely racist, which is Confederate. Confederates don't run America, man. They're not the majority. Confederates are not the majority. There's only one Confederate state that is flirting with the Confederate flag in its state flag, and that's Mississippi. And I got a problem with that. Confederates do not run America. See, this is where you get twisted at, right? When you look at Dred Scott, oh, America said black folks can't be citizens. See, that's that bullshit. That's America was infiltrated. And at that time, it wasn't even, it was infiltrated. The chief judge, Roger Taney. Like, go look into this shit so you can see what it was. Roger Taney, slave family. He's Confederate. Judge Cantrone owned slaves. Confederate. Campbell owned slaves. Confederate. One of the judges at the time of the Civil War stopped being a Supreme Court judge and went to go join as Assistant Secretary of State or Secretary of War for the Confederate Army. Meaning he'd be the one that will sit up there and be the general off the field to strategize of what the Confederate plan should be in order to win the Civil War. He stopped being a freaking Supreme Court justice and joined the fucking Confederate Army. These are the judges. Listen, we only needed what? We only needed 3 more votes to have the majority for Dred Scott because 2 people voted in favor for him. So to get the majority, we just needed 3 more people. Would have been 5-4. And I am telling you now, go look into Cantrone, Campbell, and Chief Judge Taney. They were Confederates. So these are Confederates posing, or like we like to say over here, masquerading as Union soldiers in government, and yet we're blaming America, where in truth, these were Confederate people. This art of war shit, this big boy shit. If you ain't, like, listen, don't, as a man, women, y'all excuse from this. As a man, it is 100% unacceptable to talk about some goddamn man that's doing something to you and your people. Is that unacceptable as a man? I can't let that ride. The second thing is, as a man, if we're going to deal with any form of systemic racism, then it is mandatory that you study the goddamn Civil War. Niggas baffle me when they get into all this Sun Tzu, Art of War, 48 Laws of Power shit, but you ain't studied the goddamn physical civil war that was the direct result of getting your people free and the direct result that dealt with systemic racism, and don't know shit about the Civil War. I mean, not one goddamn thing about it. In fact, will say the most dumbest, erroneous bullshit I've ever heard, such as, man, white people up north ain't free us. They ain't free the ancestors. They just wanted us to come work up north so they can have more people. We start making elaborate dumbass excuses to justify the struggle, and it's just sucker shit, man. I just gotta call it for what it is. There is no systemic racism. Is it racism that exists? Absolutely, fuck yeah. I remember a couple years ago when we was driving through North Carolina, motherfucker pulled us over for absolutely nothing but being black in the morning. And the first thing out his motherfucking mouth was, I'm not going to give you guys a ticket. I mean, the very first thing, hey, I'm not going to give you a ticket. I just want to, he's going kind of fast there. You're lying. Well, nobody going fast. Right? But here's some things. There was some, and I got a problem with that too. IRS shit, right? Anyway, had some Masonic light on me, flashed that, he knew what it was, and we got some great treatment out of that particular situation. You know what I mean? Racism exists, and here's my key, y'all. Racism exists, but nothing stops you and I from being great. It don't exist on that level. It don't. We got to stop we got emotional triggers when it comes to that particular thing. I got them all day long, but but listen, I'm gonna show y'all something, man. I'm gonna show y'all, like, for real. I take this shit for real. I'm gonna show y'all something on my phone, right? Like, so y'all think I'm for real about this shit, right? I got an app on my phone. Can y'all see that? 1864 Civil War. I play a game on my phone if I got spare time and just want to decompress, where I go shoot the Confederate motherfuckers who had slaves. I do that on my game. Like, I play this shit. I know this thing. I do this thing. That's one of my stress relievers. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's stopping us. I want to be clear with that. Okay. So the revolution it's already happened. We got to raise a little bit up outside of the victim mentality of believing that because this is serious, man, believing that we can't succeed and go further because there is an invisible system that is there that's waiting to check you. And I know, man, it's hard because Black Wall Street got burnt the fuck down. Ku Klux Klan, not the United States of America. Ku Klux Klan. It wasn't the government who came in as a whole. It was Ku Klux Klan members who may have been a part of local government. And that shit does need to be checked from a government standpoint. You slip it. Y'all letting Confederates up in here. I got a problem with Mississippi. That's an enemy combatant flag. You can't fly that flag at this, you out of your rabbit ass mind. Right? But see, that's the beauty of America. Because America is merciful. Oh, say what you want. Say fuck Donald Trump and make a video called fuck Donald Trump and do a mockery of shooting Donald Trump. Take your ass to China and make a video talking about fuck the emperor, and you got a damn video with a gun, fake or not, where you shoot the fucking emperor and watch what happened. Watch what happened to you. The land of the free is sometimes our downfalls. Too nice, right? So here it is. You got, historically speaking, you didn't pounced on the Confederates, but now we still allow them to have memorials and things. You know what I mean? Like, because that's just how nice we are, right? But we got to do better than what we're doing. And now is the time for us to seize the moment. We never question the higher authority of, It's the sister. She's a sister in spirit. What's the lady that's running? Marianne. They got the spiritual joys, like, but I disagree with her in Trump is dark. You can't be in the spirit and believe in God and not understand the reason why, and not even just get to a point to say, oh shit, God and the ancestors ain't stopped the election of Donald Trump. What y'all talking about? Where y'all ancestors at? Did they lose that battle? Huh? Or did they approve that battle? I want to know. Did God and the ancestors approve the election of Donald Trump, or did they lose that motherfucking battle? This is the big boy talk that we got to have. Because I'm going to be under the impression that they signed off on this thing. Because my God is the most high God. And everything that we experience, the good, the bad, and ugly, is necessary for the development of the soul. You got to be able to extract the lesson and the blessing. An entrepreneur became president out the gate. They got to be politically correct. Which means this is absolutely your time, my time. We don't have to be politically correct. This is the time where Aquarius and Uranus is all about the unique individual, but it's about humanity at the same time. If you want to help the poor, become wealthy. Because when you're poor, you ain't going to be able to pretty much help too much or nothing. Employ people. Be able to give charity at a rate that no one can stop you at giving it. You know, only your finances can dictate that. All right? So that's Uranus. That Uranus is the rebel. You free. You are free. You and I are free. Okay, what you talking about? We free. We free. If I don't want to participate in society, I don't have to be. I can take my ass off somewhere and go in the woods. All right. All right. So anything in the chart? We can switch it up to some astro game. You got any questions on the chart? Today's lesson is systemic racism don't exist. It don't exist. But any questions in the chart? Where's poverty at in your chart? We need to do a Saturn part 2. Not that Saturn is poverty, but Saturn is fear and restriction. It's government, and we fear government. We believe government has a plan that's 100% against us. For the most part, we haven't been responsible people. And we're so horrible with time, we call it CP time to justify why we late. And Saturn is father time. We suck when it comes to that particular principle of consciousness. Uranus in the second house, sporadic money, technology money. Money may come by groups of people, friends. Finances can fluctuate up or down. You can be extremely up or extremely down. Just sudden changes. Definitely be, I would try your best to put some discipline to it, because Uranus it's just a sudden windfall, but it can be a sudden big one, big increase too. So maybe, you got a little bit of edge where you could go all in. That's a step. That's one of the Cardone steps sometimes. Go broke. I just saw a picture of young Jared wrote a check for $200,000, reinvesting in Cardone Capital. And he's like, I'm broke again. Taking everything I got and I'm putting it all in the fund. And then next pay, when I get paid on the next payday, we got survival money, but I'm broke again. He put it all in there. So Uranus in a second deals with a fluctuation of cash, man. I will be conservative, but know when to take those chances too. And sometimes you got to go all in. All right. Point of view of Lionsgate. What's that? The Lionsgate. Are we talking about the movie? I mean, the film company, Samara, or are we talking about what up, Randy? Or are we talking about Leo, Lionsgate, a specific astral point? I need some clarity on the Lionsgate. Yeah. You and me both. All right. So Uranus in the sixth house. Ooh, sporadic health. Something could be a health issue that's weird. You don't understand it. Could totally come out of nowhere. So I don't slack when it comes to health. And that's also could be jobs dealing with technology can help you, and friends at work as well. You know what I mean? What about Leo though? I know you ain't got Uranus, Leo. You not that old, nowhere near. But what about Leo? Yeah, Uranus in the six is also a job that may require you to think outside the box and be individual. Uranus is all about our unique individual expression. In the moment that we feel confined and not true to who we are, that's when we revolt. So Uranus is all about you being true to your uniqueness, your quirkiness, your weirdness for you. So whatever house is in, is telling you don't get pigeonholed and locked down into this one particular area if it don't serve your greater sense of freedom. Okay. I've seen it. I haven't used it, Jaquino. I've seen some charts on it, but I haven't used it. Yeah, I haven't used it. The Lionsgate, the portals opening on August the 8th. No, man, I haven't heard nothing about it. A portal opening on August 8th. What constitutes? That's funny because our meditation is tomorrow, the 7th. And technically, you know that we'll be going in at midnight, which will be the 8th. We get together tomorrow night at 11:45, and we start at 12 o'clock, which will then be the 8th. But what is constituting an actual portal opening up? I would love to know that. Oh, Uranus in the 12th. I think Jew got that marker, man. That's pretty dope. That's a nice. Uranus is also flash of intuition. So since the 12th house is more spiritual than anything, I think the highest placement for that one is there's a part of your mind that has flashes of intuition, a divine truth that you're connected with, what they will call source energy, where you get that, you just get flashes of spiritual inspiration and truths. And you just got to share it. It's like divine downloads is the best way I can describe Uranus in the 12th, on the higher and on its highest aspect. All right, so you're going to make a vid about Super Aqua. I'm seeing you, Anpu's the re-trigger. Yeah, man, do that for sure, man. Hey, man, any way I can help out in that, I would love it. Stellums, you got 5 planets in the 5th house, so you could have a lot of children because the 5th house is children. You could have a lot of children, especially if Mars is there or when Mars comes through that area in space, in the sky. The 5th house is the house of creativity. If you have Venus and Jupiter and the Sun here, you probably are very lucky when it comes to scratch offs, lotteries, and things like that. So if you got Jupiter, Venus, Sun, more of the beneficent energy in this spot, I will always be doing things like that deals with, they call it gambling and speculation. So he's one of those people that were born lucky, super duper creative. Again, you could have a lot of children in your loins or in your womb and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. But just a lot of creativity. You know what I mean? A lot of creativity. It could be the arts, theater, fun, romance. It's one of my favorite placements. All right. I don't know what people talking about. No, yeah, Samar. I don't know if you heard that. Man, you know what, Samar? This, you know where you get that from. I'm gonna tell you where you get that from. Because it's 8/8. All because it's August the 8th. People are going to say it's a portal. And they're going to say it on 11/11 and 10/10. You're going to see it. It's just, and that's great. You know, that's we're starting to pay attention to something. So I ain't going to beat up on it. But celestially speaking, there's no special alignment per se that we've never seen before. In fact, there's really nothing going on celestially speaking, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? To denote a cosmic event. Because the world knows. They tell you when it's a super moon and the moon is closer. They tell you when it's an eclipse. The world tells you. So when people talk about a portal, they just simply talking about it's the 8th month and that day is going to be the 8th day. So it's the 8/8 portal. That's what it is. And that's fine. You can create whatever you want to create, right? Uranus in the 11th in Scorpio. A lot of people going to have it in Scorpio because of the year. Again, Uranus takes 7 years. Unorthodox friends, weird friends, technology friends, eclectic friends. Uranus naturally rules the 11th house. And so social gatherings, thinking outside of the box, also being a part of some type of group that's about social change and helping people, you know. Uranus and Scorpio generations is the ability to, I like to look at it more of utilizing technology in groups of people. It's crowdfunding. That Uranus and Scorpio is GoFundMe.com is when you use technology. Uranus, Scorpio is joint finances, other people's money. So it's like GoFundMe. It's the perfect example of what Uranus and Scorpio looks like. So in the 11th house, I'm going to go more with friends and groups of people and stuff. No, it was 2. Dude probably ate 1, maybe. Well, I thought he had another one too, but I ain't.
He said 1.
He said 1?
Yeah.
Well, no, it was 2 in there. It was 2 in the oven.
Well, we the one. Well, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's more of a numerological concept. Uranus and Libra. Unorthodox relationships, man. You're a little older than us, man. See, Uranus is a divorce factor in relation in because it wants freedom, and Libra is marriage. So it's but Uranus is also something weird. So the generations that got Uranus and Scorpio, Uranus and Libra, long distance relationships are something that's quirky about relationships. Can exist and it be okay, but it seemed like everybody else is weird. You would have, I call it, the king and queen's chamber. We got a duplex and I live next door, and my girl, my life partner, whatever, she live on the other side. And some nights I spend the night over at the duplex, and some nights she come over on my side and shit. And we got kids together and everything and shit, but I just got my own motherfucking apartment on the other side of the wall and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something weird that's just different inside of the relationship that makes it a little bit of what we would call unorthodox. And so the generations with Libra, Uranus and Libra, Uranus and Scorpio, we could probably expect some type of unorthodox love. You know what I mean? We actually may be a little bit more prone to open relationships, and all kind of things. It's just something that's just different, for sure. Uranus on the 10th house, and the same thing with I stimulate minds. The 10th house combinations, career orientated. Definitely, it got to be, if it's in 10th house related, what you say your career is and how you're going to get to success is going to be you being very different and thinking outside of the box and not necessarily going with the status quo. So it has to be, unless the status quo is in alignment with your ideals. You know what I mean? Bruce Lee, like, white man, I'm born in the O, man. You know, I just always wear my hat. Bad hair day right now too, but you know, I'm from the soil, man. I'm from that side where, you know, historically speaking, for Black folks, it's a fact, Jack, that in 1787, the Northwest Ordinance was created, and they said that, hey, slaves, the government told the slaves that, and white boys, that if you get, no slaves are allowed above north of the Ohio River and west of the Appalachian Mountains and whatnot, and what we would call, and so basically east of the Mississippi. And so basically, in a nutshell, you know, Ohio was that region where you got free. You had to cross the Ohio River. Now you can cross the Ohio River in Kentucky and be on parts of Illinois or Indiana or something. That's very true. But I also would like to just point out, you know, the answer to the question is just where I'm from. But two, if you go look at the next 10 presidents after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln on who the Republican nominee was, you're gonna see 8 out of that 10 was coming up out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just the turf, man. Home of the North Star. You know what I mean? Where our ancestors was getting free. You know. Well, so what? So what is that? The real reason the man left home? Well, I must have missed something. What was the? Oh, you from? Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, man. So you know, you're right. We right down the street. At one time, we had the same area code, 513. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you know, as soon as you cross into Cincinnati from Kentucky, you free. So Cincinnati is actually, you know, the that's where you land when you free. If you coming from right there, you know what I mean. But yeah, man, I'm from the house. Yeah. What up, Zigzagger? What's happening? What up, man? What up? Yeah, but any more real fast? Man, I'm good, man. I'm super good. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. All right, man. Get to going. My sinuses get to acting crazy. All right, so Uranus and Libra, Scorpio could be the reason for the man leaving the home. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a strong marker within those two particular. That's interesting. Damn. Yeah. So that's definitely a cosmic identifier where something that's unorthodox, something that's different in relationships. Yeah, I can look at, I can see that. I can definitely see that because it's something that's weird. and non-traditional. You know, and then I just also think there's a level of and then you got the Pluto and Libra relationships too, like the Pluto and Libra, the Pluto and Scorpio generations and whatnot that comes, you know, in the 70s and way after, where you have the secret, because Pluto is now secret sexual affairs. You know what I'm saying? And now when it's in Libra, it's happening inside your relationship. When it's in Scorpio, it's definitely happening with your sexual partner and shit. So I think there's a big level of untruth that's there, where there's a lot of extra marital type of relationships that's taking place that's challenging the traditional aspect of relationships, which becomes another reason and issue and whatnot. Again, by choices, but it's an excellent marker that will denote, like, okay, this generation will probably have the biggest struggle when it comes to traditional relationships, for sure. Right. Man, so good question. How to pull energies from the stars. So you have to realize that the star is inside you. One of the things that I really love is, and that's not a metaphysical saying, like, you have these cells in the body and brain called astrocytes, CYTES, astrocytes. They look like stars. You also have cells in the brain called pyramidal cells. These pyramid cells look like pyramids. And in Egypt, the pyramids pointed to the stars. So they was really dealing with a science of an internal psychological process. So you hear all the time that man and woman is a miniature universe, because the structure of atoms, electrons, and things like that is identical to our solar system, and how, you know, the planets are revolving around the sun and so forth. When you look into medical astrology, from Aries being the head, Taurus the throat, Gemini the arms, lungs, hands, things of that nature, Cancer stomach, breast, Leo spine, back, heart, Virgo intestines, Libra kidneys, Scorpio sexual reproductive organs, Sagittarius could be liver, also thighs, Aquarius knees, Capricorn knees, skin, bones, hair, teeth. Aquarius is your ankles, and then your feet is Pisces. All of these signs are literally governing different parts of your body. So the truth of the matter is the energy is inside of you. You're not pulling it down. It looks that way, but in truth, the external really is a mirror of you. It's a mirror, so it's in you. However, you can do visualization work when you want to pull that energy down. For you to connect with the star via thought, it gives you an instantaneous connection, because the amount of speed that thoughts travel is, you can reverse time. You know, just to think about it connects you to it, because that's how fast thought travels. So in other words, like the speed of light, 186 miles per second, then you will see that light takes about 8 minutes from the sun to travel and touch us on our body here on Earth. If we can speed it up, we can reduce that. We can reduce time down to 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So what happened if you can go faster than technically a second? What happens when you can go faster than a half a second, faster than 0.0 seconds? It's the moment that you thought about it is the moment that you're connected to it. And that's how fast thought travels. Okay. And so you draw it down simply by just connecting with it via the imagination, via the mind. Now, there is another component. I don't know if they're still in existence, called I want to say Pegasus elixirs out in Colorado, where they will put a telescope on a star, and that light that is beaming into the eyepiece of the telescope is being directed into a dark bottle to capture the light with an alcohol solution to keep the configuration of the light code of that star. And then they sell it to you in the form of drops. And then you can actually take that starlight and put it on the tongue or in a drink or whatever the case may be. I would say under the tongue so you don't dilute it with anything else. And then you actually can start to digest or ingest particular starlight. It was called Pegasus elixirs. So I used to drink light from Sirius at one point in time. Now, I've never felt a shift, but a lot of that's going to have to do with what you're thinking, what's on your mind, your level of concentration when you're dealing with that, the foods you eat, and things of that nature. For me to really get in tune with that, either two things is going to have to happen. I'm going to have a hyper focus on the imagination of what I'm trying to do, or I'm going to be extremely not as active as I would be in my day-to-day life in order for me to feel the feminine form, in order for me to receive and feel the energy. In other words, if I was off in the mountains at my spiritual retreat and I'm there for some time and I'm drinking starlight, it'll be easier for me to feel the effect versus me taking it in the morning, getting up, looking for houses, shooting some emails out, and doing all of that for me personally. All right. But you draw it by connecting with it instantaneously. All right. Cody Cole, Uranus in the fifth. Could be a you win. It's something that could be dealing with winnings. Hold on one second. Hold on. All right. Okay, all right. So something about winnings. The fifth house is speculation, gambling. Uranus is this sudden increase. So you'd be one of those ones that would suddenly win and find money and things like of that nature. It could definitely deal with lottery, scratch off, things like that. The fifth house is also children. So Uranus is eclectic and weird. So it could be making sure that your kid thinks outside of the box or making sure that your kid asserts their individuality. Uranus is the rebel house. So therefore your child could be a rebel as well. But the highest aspect I see that one on is allowing your creative genius, because the fifth house is creativity, the Uranus is genius, allowing your creative genius to serve you as an individual. It's a lot of creativity that's there. In the moment that creativity gets stifled, the negative side of the Uranus aspect of our consciousness blows up. Uranus is uranium. I always used to say plutonium and uranium is shit that you make bombs with. So Pluto and Uranus, when they get in certain configurations with each other, it's going to be boom, it's an explosion. So Uranus is the same way. Uranus is that uranium aspect of consciousness that will blow up. You see what I'm saying? If you are suppressing your uniqueness, your individuality, and your own creativity. That's how I see Uranus in the fifth. Unorthodox love affairs, because the fifth house is love affairs and romance. Uranus is weird and unorthodox, so therefore you can have some type of unorthodox love affair. Check this one out, Cody Cole. Uranus is technology. The fifth house is love affairs. So you may have a lover who want to turn on the webcam and get jiggy with it or something. That's there. It's there for you. It's all about how you see it. All right. The ninth house is more of what we would call higher education, college, expansion of the mind, philosophies. Uranus there. That's a beast mode. I like that. Uranus in the ninth. You definitely should be thinking outside of the box. I like that a whole lot, a whole lot. That is some different type of understanding on some diverse subject matters, where one could be a teacher and learn how to express that shit effectively, can really help the consciousness of individuals. Uranus in the ninth house is just different thinking, different learning. On more mundane level, you're going to school for technology type of thing. But I like it. I like it. In the first, the first house is a bland house to me. It's just self. It's self expression. It's the one that gets the party started. Um, Uranus in the first is just an individual who definitely needs to make sure that it is the first priority, that your individuality comes first. Um, Play second to no one, and just be you, be your own unique self. You know what I mean? And whatever that is, just stand proud on that, and it has to be the number one priority of the day by far. All right. Daniel says, by the way, only 0.2% of the U.S. wealth is in the hand of so-called black people. Now, emotionally rant about that in regards to the fallacy of systematic racism. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. So we say only 0.2% of the U.S. wealth is in the hands of black people. And so is there a wealth gap? Is there a racial wealth gap? Yes, there is a racial wealth gap. That racial wealth gap absolutely has to stem from what we would call the systematic forms of slavery that exists without a shadow of a doubt, right? However, I'm not convinced that since then that there is systematic things at work that stop you and I from earning. Because again, you're going to have too much. It's just too much. It's too much success that's around you, right? It's too much success that is absolutely around you that stops you and I from being able to get what I want to get what we get, right? And so now here's the thing. If only 0.2% of all of the wealth is here, I like to look at the numbers of because that's kind of abstract to me, 0.2% of the wealth. Like, what's the number? And what I mean by that will be things like median incomes, right? Let me see if I can pull something up for you real fast. Like median incomes, for example. Black folks could be at the lowest median income. Then we can be currently under Trump. Our average is $40,000 in median income. Okay. White folks could be close to, they in the 60s, 70s. Asians top out at the top at 80. Hispanics is slightly above black folks. Okay, so black and white people, and let's just deal with income because that's gonna deal if we dealing with 0.2% of the wealth. Okay, all right. Here's the solution to that. Here's a solution to that will make you the okay on American. That's fine. That's cool. So it's a 2018 American consensus, and let's say that consensus is true. Right? Now let's take it to a median income aspect of what the black family is doing. So let's just say currently we hover around $40,000, right? Okay. So certainly $40,000 is not wealth, okay? But that's median. This is average, okay? To be the number one median income producer out of all races, go get a fucking house and flip it. Who's stopping you from doing that? Who's stopping you from getting a house and flipping it? Who's stopping you? Who's stopping you? I don't have to. I can put $33,000 in your face. I can put $17,000 in your face. I can put another $8,000 in your face. I can just go pull out checks and go get another one that's coming. That's gonna be for $53,000 this week. Got another house that's going on the market this Friday that's gonna list at $180,000. Who's stopping me, man? Nobody's stopping you. So if you can figure out a way to just flip one freaking house and go find out what the average flip was. The average flip last year in 2018, Adams Data Property Solutions, or Adams Data Solutions rather, right? Atoms Data Solution. Then the average flip last year in 2018 gross profit was 65,000. In the first quarter of this year, it dropped by $5,000 to 60,000. If you just took home $52,000 off a flip, provided that you can be the average, not above average or below average, you can just be the average and hit the average mark. If you can take home $52,000 per year on top of the average median income right around 40,000, then guess what? You're at $90,000 a year, bringing in more money than the Asians, right? You're bringing in more money than that. So ain't nobody number one now but you. But see, here's the thing. We have to end the racial wealth gap by choice, because when you have a free market, you're going to have people that will always, listen, man, I can show you checks after checks after checks, and I can show y'all how to do this exact same shit. Knowing good and well you need the motherfucking money. But if I say 10 people hit me up, how many people really going to follow through until they get a check? We know the law of averages is going to be about 10%. So maybe one person is going to actually follow it through. We're curious by nature, but we're not serious, right? As long as you have a free market, you're going to always have a wealth gap, because you're always going to have more consumers than producers. So when you look at these businesses that employ everybody, that business is the idea of usually just one person or a couple of people. And it has more employees and it has way more consumers than anything. Because if everybody was a producer, it wouldn't be nothing to consume. So it's always going to be more consumers than producers. In other words, there's going to always be more bosses than employees. I mean, more employees than bosses. Always. So there's always going to be a gap. But just because it's a gap doesn't mean we have to be poor. That's the shit that I'm on. We don't have to be poor just because it's a gap. We don't have to be wealthy. You know, we don't have to be wealthy just because we on this side of, on this side of the ledger either. You know what I mean? So we can be, I guess, what they would call middle class in that case, whatever that is. But my point is, if you earn $40,000 average median income, flip one house. See, I used to think money was the barrier. Oh, the credit is fucked up. You ain't got the work history. Man, listen, man, it's shit out here called hard money, where they saying, listen, your credit, if your credit fucked up, I'm just going to basically charge you a little higher percentage. But at this particular point, the only thing you got to do is do two things. One, find a deal where it makes sense. And two, since they're not coming up with 100% financing, in some cases, in most cases, you have to bring the remaining amount of money to the closing table, right? So in other words, if a house is worth the ARV, after repair value, if the house is worth $200,000 after I fix it, then they say, hey, listen, we pay for 90% of the rehab and the purchase price. Okay. And let's just hypothetically say it costs 50 on the purchase price, another 50 to fix it. So that's 100,000. So they say we'll pay 90% of that. And it's $90,000. Well, shit, the dude that's selling me the house, let's just say let's just say it costs 100 in total, but the loan is only going to give me 90. right? So therefore, that other 10,000, I got to come out my pocket for those 10 G's. You see what I'm saying? And so getting 10 G's ain't a problem. If you can't get 10 stacks, your fucking thinking is broke. And that's what's broke. That's what's broke. It ain't the system. It's your fucking thinking that's broke if you can't get it. And that's the shit that I had to figure out myself and say, and I had to be honest about that shit. And it's what say, well, fuck, why am I broke? Because nigga, you don't have the mental capacity to know how numbers work and the networking goes and how the deal structure goes. You don't have no friends that's in this arena. Your whole shit when it comes to wealth creation is broken. You don't even have nothing. So figure it out. Okay, cool. Figure it out. Okay. And so my point though is now that the money is there, you see what I'm saying? Now we can leverage the money and say, oh shit, we got that. Now we sell the house and whatnot. And then they get paid their money and whatnot. It's all good. Now we got a lump sum of money and now we're using their money. And so now we can just always say, hey, let's leverage their money. Simply meaning this, right? I can take 100 grand and go buy a property. Or I can take that same 100 grand and let's just say they want 10% down, which is 10,000, and they have financed the other 90 grand. Instead of me taking 100 grand and buying one property and doing it the Damon Dash way, which is nothing wrong with that because it's 100% your money working for you, I can take that same 100 grand, chop it up 10 times into 10 bundles of 10,000 and use that as 10 different down payments on a loan to get me 10 projects. And since each project is making me 100,000, okay, versus me taking 100,000, putting it in and getting 200 back and I made 100 profit. Okay, I'm gonna take that 10,000 each 10 times, get 10 properties, and still make 100,000 off one. I just became a fucking millionaire by using leverage. You see what I'm saying? And so this is what I'm saying about the beauty of the system. Listen, other countries is purportedly, from what I hear from real estate moguls like Grant Cardone, who've been around the world, other countries don't allow you to participate and own real estate the way that they do in America. This is the easiest shit in the world, far as it's a steal. It is a steal. And when we do our millionaire math classes, people that's in this chat room right now who know Samara, Cody Cole, who know the millionaire math strategy, it's fucking ridiculous, bro. It's crazy. And when I say crazy, it's crazy. Where the bank is saying when you get a deal, hypothetically, a deal costs 100,000, because we don't talk about this poverty shit, right? Why we ain't got wealth is because we're not participating. We're not participating. It's not being withheld from us. We don't participate. I don't want to see shit about the IRS, let alone go looking at IRS codes to try to figure out, what I can do as far as investment strategy goes. I don't want to have nothing to do with them. That's how we think. It's no difference than when we look at properties. The courthouses once a year is supposed to, depending where you at, they're supposed to list publicly where they're going to, that they got some extra money left over from some unclaimed funds from foreclosures, okay? And they're going to put it in a public place in the courtroom where everybody can see it. I want you, next time you go down to the courtroom, you stop and look at the public bulletin board and see how many times pedestrians stop at the goddamn bulletin board in the courtroom. Niggas don't even want to be in court for whatever reason it is, and I don't blame them, let alone you think they're going to stop and read a public notice on the bulletin board. They're not doing it, bro. So it's not that anything is hidden from us. It's not that anybody is keeping anything away from us. We're not actively seeking ways to do it, and the culture doesn't promote it. The culture simply promotes. We're just now getting to that stage, and I say it again. We're just now getting to the stage where E40 just got his, he got his liquor brand. We just now getting to the stage where Jay-Z got 40/40 Club. He got, he bossed up and then bought the Brooklyn Nets and then got up out of that and owned the building, then did, sportsman. We're just now starting to see what success in entrepreneurship looks like. We're just now getting there. You see what I'm saying? And so, of course, there's a gap because just the basic laws of wealth creation in the free market, you're going to always have a gap. And of course, you're going to have that racial gap because it was never, ever addressed from the time of slavery. And it should be. I'm 100% with that. But where it's ridiculous in how we can fix it and become the number one income earner, just find one deal. Just one per year. Can we get off our ass and find one deal per year? Just one, and figure out saying, you know what? Instead of jacking off my money when income tax money come this time and whatnot, I'm using that as a down payment just in case this hard money loan, if you don't qualify, you know, with a bank or something, and I'm gonna use this money for a hard money loan to find me a property and get it fixed. It ain't like you in there fixing it. Put the pieces of the puzzle together. Call a contractor up and say, hey, how much it costs to fix this joint? Call a realtor up and say, hey, I want to buy me an investment property. Put me on your email list. It's not hard to do, but are we going to do it? Because I can show you in the span of, you know, bro, less than half a year, I'll show you where I almost banged out $100,000. In less than half a year. The year ain't even over yet. And banged out some nice amount of money. So this shit ain't hard. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I like running my mouth and telling people like, yo, because if I can do it, you can do the shit too. Cody Cole right here on the line right now, she made a phone call to a doctor. I had a deal. You make a phone call with me and I'll pay you some money. And we can split. We can, in this particular one, me and Cody Cole go way back on some other shit. Our arrangement is a little different than everybody else's, but we can split this particular deal. Okay? This is our business venture. Me and you can do that. All right? You get the deal. Just set me the appointment. I'll close the deal. Just tell him I'm calling him. She got me an appointment with a guy. Wonderful guy. Came over for dinner, had lunch, everything. People calling him left and right for this particular house. He sold me the freaking house because I closed him. Right? Now, I didn't wholesale the house because I wanted to wholesale it, but people in the marketplace, they was trying to do it. I just didn't like it. They wanted to give me, basically, I could have made $7,000 off of it without even have to put my money up. I said, nope, I know I can get more out of this. So now I put my money into it, put my money up. It's still so fresh. The county record of the property don't even reflect the transfer yet. And I've already got it under contract to sell it. And we're supposed to close on it this particular week. A woman using her money out her retirement account to come buy the property. Facts. So now that I put the money up, there's a different arrangement. But Cody Cole will tell you that's her deal. And she got a check coming because basically that was her lead that I closed. You see what I'm saying? So it's there. It's there, bro. And I want to see if I can explain this concept of refi. When you get a property, man, and you can just go look into the BRRRR method, buy, rehab, rent, refi, repeat the process and whatnot. You go get you a property costs $100,000. Instead of you scrambling and coming up with $100,000, hypothetically, let's just say the bank say, give me 10% down payment, which is $10,000. You get a bank $10,000. They put the other 90 up. They put you on the line for the $90,000. Okay? Means you about to start making a mortgage payment for the $90,000. But for the $90,000, we know with interest, you're going to pay them back. Let's just say damn near $180. Okay? Because you almost pay them twice in a sense. All right? But no problem. I'm not paying it. The tenant is paying it anyway. So that banknote of $500, I charge $1,000. So after taxes, insurance, and all that, I put $5 in my pocket. That $500 that's going to the bank and that extra interest that's going to the bank, it ain't never coming out my pocket. So now I got the property for a couple years, 10 years. We doing what? $6,000 a year. $6,000 a year. Got it for 10 years. That's $60,000. Okay. I only put $10,000 down. I got $60,000 in 10 years. Let's just hypothetically say nothing written wrong. Got $60,000, right? let's say we decide to sell it, and it's now worth, let's just say simple math, it's now worth 200,000. Okay. And let's say for 10 years we've been paying the principal down, but let's just say we didn't pay the principal down. And let's just say we owe them 100,000. I still got 100,000 there, bro. And I didn't pay 100 to get in the game. I only paid 10% to get in the game. But let's say we don't even sell it and let's refi the puppy. The property is worth 200,000. We still own it. We cash flowing for 10 years. We got $60,000, right? We're gonna refi this joint. This joint is worth 200,000. The bank said, listen, I tell you what, man, I'm not gonna give you the full value for it. It's called LTV, loan to value. I'll give you anywhere from 70 to 80%. So let's just say 70%. So they're gonna say, hey, I give you 70%. That's 140 grand. The house is worth 200,000. But the bank says, okay, you about to refi, and I'm gonna put you on a note all over again. I'll give you 70% of the value, which is 140. Okay? That 140,000, bro, is a tax-free event. You get that money, that's all yours. The government, and that's what I'm saying, where's systemic racism at now? Because the government doesn't tax you on that extra money. It's money left over from a loan transaction. And it's tax-free money for you to do what you want to do. So why ain't the government stopping that and taxing it? They're not. Because it's not income. You see what I'm saying? So that 140,000 is a tax-free event. So now I got 140. We still own the property. That's the beautiful thing. We still owe the property. But originally, remember, we was on the line for 90,000. But now that we refi, we on the line for 140. So our $500 a month may go up to $700 a month. But it's 10 years later and our rent has went up too. You see what I'm saying? And most importantly, not only do we cash flow because we still own it, I'm going to say it again. We still own it and refied and cashed out as if we sold it. And guess what? After we refied, okay, and we got that 140 in cash, let's sell the property. And let's say the property is only worth 200,000 because at the point of refi, it was only worth 200,000. The bank said, I'm only going to give you 70%, which is 140. We got that 140 as a cash tax-free event. We turn around and sell the property for 200. We owe the bank 140. That's $60,000 now goes in our pocket. And yeah, we pay tax on the 60,000 because it's a capital gain, but we won't if it's in the opportunity zone set up correctly. Thank you to Donald Trump. We don't have to pay no tax on that, and we can just keep on flipping. So now where is systemic racism that says invest in urban America called the hoods in the inner cities, whether you're a business owner, a pizza shop, a copy center, or flipping real estate? It don't matter what you do, as long as you're doing business inside of urban America, you don't have to pay tax. Where's the system? Where is systemic racism at now? It don't exist. Is there a wealth gap? Fuck yeah, it's there. But it's always gonna be one, bro. Always. Always. This is how you get rich in this real estate thing. That's why people do it. And I'll be like, yo, y'all better get in this shit before the game, if the game change. Y'all better get in this shit because when I tell you, man, y'all better get in. Y'all see what I see. Get in. I'm gonna sitting on the sideline. All right. So I take one more, man, because I got a jet. You know what I'm saying? You got one more? Anything else? Hey, Don, what up, Aquarian and shit? Systematic racism does exist. Nothing is stopping that if you can rise above systematic racism. I got mine, brother. It's fine. It may exist. It don't exist where it stops us, though. I ain't buying that one. If it stop you, let me know. The systematic racism stopped Daniel Redbird from being successful in life. Because I don't see it, man. It don't stop us. And that's the key, Rakim. You only spent 10 grand. The down payment. The ROI, return on investment, is freaking crazy. You get your money back when you listen, man. I'll close it with this. Y'all better get on Grant Cardone, because this is a dope ass investment vehicle. His unaccredited fund. Because the government looks out for the poor people, man. Goddamn, you get welfare, you get fucking free food and shit. You get fucking, even when they say invest in, they step in and say, hey, if you ain't got $1 million network, then you have to set up a different type of fund called an accredited fund, because these people are not high net worth individuals, which means we don't want what happened in the financial crisis, housing crisis, where these people who are not financially savvy, clearly because they don't have a net worth of $1 million, these people can get fucked up in transactions. So by law, if you're going to advertise investing, then to these people who are unaccredited, then you absolutely need to have an unaccredited fund. Okay. So now when you have an unaccredited fund, Cardone Capital, I think, is maybe a minimum of $500 you can get in this thing, right? You ain't gonna, I mean, that's little money and your return gonna be shit. You know what I'm saying? But you got to start somewhere, okay? And so I'm gonna tell you this Cardone model. It's what I'm pushing my man Max Maxwell to do in the Black community. Jay Morrison does it as well. Me personally, I just fuck with Max. I love Max Maxwell. That's my guy. All right. So the fund works like this. You put in 500, 5,000, whatever you want to put in. When the fund, it got a date when it's going to close. He takes all of the money and then he goes buy apartment buildings. Okay. And I'm talking massive fucking apartment buildings, nice shits down in Florida, where it's 300 units all in one complex type of deals. Okay. Mega cash flow. And his aim is to bring you a 5 to 6% return. It's just an aim. It's nothing promised. And that return is every year. Okay. Now, in order for me to do it on the level that I want to do it, I need about 200K to go over there. And I'll explain why. Because for me, if you're going to bring a 5% return on 200,000, okay, what's 5% of 200,000? 10,000. If you're going to bring me a 6% return on it, that's $12,000. Okay, so let's say a 6% return at $12,000. Grant is going to pay me $12,000 a year. Take that $12,000 a year, divide it by 12 months, is going to be $1,000 a month. That's why my magic number is 200K. Because when I send Grant 200K, if he hit his mark at 6%, $12,000 a year, he doesn't pay every year. He doesn't pay every quarter. He pays every month. There's constant videos of Grant out there when it's that time of the month where he's writing checks and showing you these big ass checks and sending them out in the fucking mail. Okay. Unaccredited fund, you can get in for $500 when the fund is open. Okay. Now, again, which 5%? 6% of 500. You see what I'm saying? And so 6% of 500 is like what? $3, right? 10% is 50. All right, so we're talking $3. Like what's $3 in a sense, right? Or 30 rather. Sorry. So what is that? Like nothing. You know what I mean? But you got to start somewhere. Start where you're gonna start. So you got to have a certain, it works. The more money you put in, don't be mad at the output. Be mad at the input. Because the output is just a reflection of the input. You did? Okay. And so again, this thing, you give Grant, let's just say 200,000. Every month I'm getting $1,000 check because every month his tenants is paying the bill. So we get a check every single month. That's motivating, man, to get a check in the mail every single month. Okay. Now, he holds it. This could be a 7 to 10 year hold. So this is more what we would call, that's short term, but it's really, you can call it long term. Okay. Year 7 come possibly sooner. he refis. When he refis the deal, guess what? I get my $200,000 back because the refi, the bank is setting you up with a new loan and you basically getting all your money back. It's the equivalent of selling the property and still owning it. So now I get all my money back. I get my $200K back, but now let's just say, again, since we refi now, you know, the note is a little higher. I'm not getting the same $12,000. It may shrink a little bit, and I'm getting $10,000. So instead of me getting $1,000 a month, I'm now probably getting $800 a month. But guess what? It's free money at this point because I got my principal back at the refi point. So all the time before the refi, I've been getting interest payments, living off that or stacking it, doing whatever. When the refi come, my money is back and I get to steal cash flow. And guess what? When he sells the property or when there's profits left over, remember, if you refi at a higher point and there's profit left over, then you can split that amongst the investors. You can do a 60-40 split. I forget what their split is and whatnot, where you say, hey, I put this thing together. I'm going to take 60%. The remaining 40% in extra profits is going to be split amongst the investors. So pay attention. You get cash flow every month. You get your money back at refi. You cash flow after the refi, which is free money. And then when he sells the property, the profits, you profit share in that. You have at least 4 price points to get paid from. By far the best investment vehicle you can ever be in. I got to give it up. And he know his shit. Over $1 billion in real estate holdings. Okay? So, and I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm just telling you what I see in the marketplace. I watched a young kid on his team, who he calls his vice president, from YouTube channels, Jared Grant, when Grant said, I'm going to make him a millionaire in front of y'all. And I'd be damn if I didn't speed up to some other videos later, which are years later, this dude pulling out checks for $1 million and now is a millionaire. I seen it. Okay. And so nobody is stopping us from participating. Again, Jay Morrison, Black Wall Street Fund. You know what I'm saying? Ex-dope boy. Convicted felon. Who's stopping them? Ain't nobody stopping. Ain't nobody stopping us. You feel me? All right. That's right. All right. All right, man. So y'all need me, man. Hit me up. Good build, man. I just wanted to poke at a little, a couple issues and whatnot. Ain't no hard feelings, man. Just examining things. Shit do exist, you know what I'm saying? But again, we are the greatest. Let's be in our greatest, in our greatest self and do great things. You know what I'm saying? And I'll see y'all real soon with some good news. When the wire clears, secure the bag alert. Like DJ Khaled said, you know what I mean? And once again, try my best to articulate it and share it with you, man, so y'all can get in this space. Visit me, man. I'm over at theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com, theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com. All right? Peace.